Schaub and Johnson go at it on the sideline, and Andre Johnson's like,
on the route.
I'm out of here. I've had enough. I am going. I'll see you.
I'm out.
And he leaves with under a minute to go.
We just exchanged some words. It's just, the heat of the moment. Once we came in the locker room, we talked about it, left it alone. So, I'm not worried about that. Me and Mattis played a lot of football together. And things like that happen. I think there's a lot of frustration going on, and I think that just happened because of frustration.
Andre, for the record, are you happy being with this franchise moving forward? You want to remain here?
I'm under contract. So I have to play my contract out. I can't do anything about that.
You are listening to Offensive Lines with Marlon and Boyd. Small stakes NFL gambling for the average fan.
Welcome to Offensive Lines for the Week 11 recap. Boyd, somehow we managed to make a tidy little 60% profit there.
It was a little shaky, Marlon. That was a little too close for comfort when you see a flag thrown in the end zone on Monday night when your team's up by 4 and you need them to cover 4.
2.5.
Basically.
Well, three, yeah.
It was 3, so 4 was the perfect number for us. And flag in the end zone, and I'm thinking, they're going to get the ball at the 1, and we're going to lose on a fucking pass interference call in the end zone, and then they pick up the flag. I was like, woohoo! And my wife, I drove home from work, and I think it was 17 all. I didn't even see what happened, but I turned to get my supper ready, turn the game on, and it's 24-20 with 40 seconds left. And I went, my wife thought something was wrong, and I'm like, no, there's nothing wrong. I'm just...
Except that Brady has the ball, and he's fucked us before.
40 seconds left, and they let him get down to the 18.
Well,
it was too much.
Well, my wife, she thought the penalty was valid, and I said, no, you never get a penalty unless you're New England or a Peyton Manning team. You never get a flag in the end zone on the last play of the game. That's just the way the world works, and it always has worked.
And then Gruden was like, oh, I don't know about that. He couldn't get back to the ball. Well, the ball was thrown on a straight line. It wasn't like it was a jump ball or something, and he couldn't get back to it.
It was at belt level.
Yeah.
He would have had to have committed pass interference and blown up the safety who came across the middle and made the game-ending pick. He would have had to have gone through that guy's body to get to the ball.
And I can't believe that they actually made that call on the field. Because usually a flag like that, they never call it, but it was the right call to me. Not just because we won money on it, but how do you call pass interference when there was no way the guy was going to catch the ball?
I agree, except that it's New England, and I've seen those before. So, yeah, that turned us on our $30 bet. We made $18 profit. Though this was a shaky... Well, yeah, but you still got to count the 30 wagered when you're looking at our investment. The fact that we got one investment back where New Orleans hit the number in their game over San Francisco. Yeah, you still got to count it as $30 invested.
Yeah, and we got 48 back. It still works out to the same $18 profit, so it doesn't really matter. But I felt fortunate to get that in the Niner game.
I agree. That one was even more fortunate than the New England game. Like I said, we somehow managed, as you said, that was a shaky profit.
Now, I want to just touch on Drew Brees getting hit. Can we stop coddling these fucking quarterbacks? You hit anybody else like that, there's no flag.
The man put his arm around his chest, and Drew Brees fell into it, and the helmet moved, and they threw the flag.
Yeah.
It was to our benefit, to our monstrous benefit, but Absolute horseshit.
I hate it. It happened in the Titans game. Even though the Titans lost, they benefited from a Colts defensive lineman tackling our quarterback after he threw the ball, and his face mask rubbed up against the ear hole. Perfect form tackle, head up, didn't drop the crown of the helmet, nothing, and his face mask brushed the ear hole on Fitzpatrick. And we got a 15-yard penalty. I was talking to my sister on the phone at the time, and I'm like screaming into the phone, I fucking hate that shit. Even though it's helping us, I hate it. They can't keep calling that shit.
Oh, I know. And, well, this is an example. Like, when we say we think it's the right call in the New England game, we're also saying we think it was a bullshit call that got us a push in the New Orleans game. We try to call an honest game from what we see here and what we believe.
Yeah, I just want it fair all the way, consistent. Peyton Manning gets hit at the knees, it's ruled fair and allowable even after review. Drew Brees gets hit in the hips, that's a flag. Ryan Fitzpatrick gets his ear hole brushed. The guy was basically like a kiss. That's 15 yards. I think didn't Kaepernick get hit out of bounds against New Orleans? They threw a flag on that too as he was running and kind of faked like he was going out and then stayed in. And it's just a fucking nightmare.
It's a mess. The one quarterback who never benefits is Phillip Rivers. And I assume it's because he's such a colossal dick.
Yeah, but he's your dick.
I know, and I love it, but I agree he plays like a petulant schoolboy. Anyway, that's a good enough transition anyway. The San Diego Slant Eyes didn't do so well. Now, a moment of explanation. Or, yes.
The Tennessee Turbans didn't fare so well either. We're not being racist.
We have to explain this. Do you want to start or should I?
You go ahead.
Okay, we went to a tremendous comedy show on Saturday night. And it was Kate Trevor Wilson opened for Greg Proops. They were both great. And the host and sort of third stringer was Wafiq Nasrallah. And in his intro, he actually brought up the Redskins name controversy. And he suggested that don't make the Redskins change their names. Make all the other teams change their names to racial slurs. And then, bizarrely, chose only Tennessee and San Diego as examples. Which is about a 1 in 480 to 500 shot to choose those two teams.
Well, and when he said Tennessee first. And I looked at you and my wife and I went, huh? What are the odds? Like, I could pick my team out of the whole NFL?
Yeah, that's a fairly normal 1 in 16 shot.
But then I turned back and look at the comedian. I turned back and look at Wafiq, and it's the San Diego Slant Eyes. And I look at you again, and we're both kind of have this quizzical look on our face, like, can you fucking believe this? The last thing I expected.
So at least for this podcast, we might try to refer to our teams by the Nasrallah recommended racial slurs.
That was, and I've seen Seinfeld, Bill Maher, Drew Carey. That was arguably to me one of the best, if not the best. It's in the top 2 comedy shows I've ever seen. And I've been a Greg Proops fan for 20 years. He is unbelievable live. I can't even imagine how he comes up with half the shit he came up with because he was non-stop.
Like, yeah, he was high speed, angry.
45 minutes of
fair bit of aggression, but it still flowed.
Oh, it was brilliant. You don't never see that side of him on TV or even on the podcasts. It was brilliant.
I listen to his podcast too, Smartest Man in the World, and recommend that all fans check it out. He's a funny and smart guy. But I wasn't sure what to expect, because the podcast is a little more introspective. The pacing is more languid. This was angry, insulting, funny, just tremendous. Great show.
Well, I like our new name for us people that live in Calgary, Calgaricans. That was one of my favorite parts.
The city that took a left turn in 1986 and got lost.
Yeah. But I suppose, well, we wanted to bring that up just to get in the Tennessee Turbans and the San Diego Slant Eyes, because we both found it hilarious that a comedian could drag both our teams into it.
And by the way, I'm also already uncomfortable referring to the Slant Eyes as the Slant Eyes tonight, but so point taken. Anyway, the Slant Eyes traveled to the East Coast and managed to put up 450 yards, score 16 points, and look insanely boring at the same time. They weren't particularly inept at anything. They just seemed like they didn't want to be there. It was really disappointing. It didn't crush me, because after the loss to Denver, I don't mind losses. Let's get a draft pick. I know this GM-coach combo isn't going anywhere right now. I would like some pieces on defense, and whoever my O-line coach is doing an amazing job, because he's put in about 16 different people over the year, and they're managing to perform well. I felt almost nothing. Most of the time through that game, I was flipping back to the CFL to watch my Riders crush the Stampeders in the cold, to go to the Grey Cup that's being hosted in Regina, my hometown. So, well, go Riders.
If you want to talk about a team that didn't want to be there, that was the Stampeders on Sunday. They looked like they'd rather be at home in the warm, in their Snuggies, instead of being on the football field. But we're not a CFL podcast, so I'll leave it there.
Yeah.
Well, the one thing I wanted to say about both our teams lost this past week. My Turbans falling to the Colts 30-27 after having a 17-6 lead at halftime, and who found a way to be behind 20-17 in the third quarter without the offense stepping on the field. And for you non-football people out there, that's pretty fucking hard to do. You give up an opening drive touchdown and then fumble the ensuing kickoff, and 2 plays later, it's another touchdown. Well, 8 minutes into the third quarter, you're down by 3 in a game you need if you want to have any shot at winning the division. And after the way they started, that hurry-up offense does not bode well when you have the lead. You can use it to get the lead, but you don't have to continually run it, because when you go 3 and out, your defense is back on the fucking field.
Like, that's the Buffalo conundrum.
They were on the field the whole third quarter.
That's the Jim Kelly Buffalo Bills in a nutshell. They were incapable of slowing it down. You know, you use it for a purpose, but you've got to go back to a traditional time-eating set. You've got to have that ability.
And well, then they're doing it because it fits Fitzpatrick's strength, or so they tell me. But Chris Johnson on the first 2 drives against Indianapolis, 70 yards and 2 touchdowns, and I think he carried the ball 9 times after that. 9 times after the first quarter.
That's the part that screamed at me. I didn't watch the game, because if you read my column, I'm basically boycotting them unless they involve my team. I hate them. They just suck up my life. Go away. But when I looked at the stats at the end of the game, 4 carries in the second half, I believe, for Johnson, who was tearing up that line that had been torn up a week ago by Zach Stacy. That's their weakness. Just keep running at them until they stop you? How is this so complicated, Boyd?
Well, Marlon, he runs for 70 yards the first 2 drives, and then Sean Green's in for the 3rd series. It's like, okay, we paid him $3.5 million for the season, so we better get him in there. Are you fucking kidding me? All they talk about is when Chris Johnson's going to get going. When's he going to get? Then he gets going, and then they don't give him the fucking ball. Like, that should have been a game he finished with 150 yards, and they rode him to the win. Just grind out the fucking clock.
And probably a 3rd touchdown in there, because he's against a weak run defense like Indy is showing that it has. If you keep grinding him, and that's to benefit to you, because you had the lead at this stage. If you keep running him, eventually he will break one against a run defense like that. He'll break another one.
And if you want to run the hurry up offense, you don't have to run it every play. Why not, if you run him twice and he only gets 5 yards, why not hurry up after the second run? Just leave your base set in there and don't allow them to bring in the defense. Just get to the line of scrimmage. If he gets a 3-yard gain, you can be ready to go in 12 seconds.
Look at New England, look at Denver. That's the kind of strategies they employ. They can switch between a standard paced offense, a semi-hurry up, and a full-on go effortlessly. You know, why on earth is it one or the other for some of these idiotic teams?
I don't fucking know. This team drives me nuts. Had the lead against Kansas City, had the lead against Seattle, had the lead against Indy, and we can't close it out. And this wasn't even Fitzpatrick's fault. He didn't play a bad game. It's on the coaches. I don't know what job Munchak's going to keep in the organization if he can after this, but you got to get rid of him.
Well, whatever Bud Adams liked from him, I think that this new regime can't make things worse in terms of a coaching standpoint. Because that, again, I didn't watch the game, but looking at it from a coaching standpoint, how can you possibly think that he's an NFL head coach?
Well, would the time to get rid of him, wouldn't it have been when you had Andy Reid floating out there? Like at the beginning of the year, would you have not said Tennessee and Kansas City were pretty close in talent? Like, he went to Kansas City before Alex Smith came around. Walker was like a young Vic or McNabb with the skill set he had.
That's a good point that I'd never really thought about.
So when coaches are floating out there that have proven winners, why not go get them? I don't understand it. He's proven himself. He's a 500 coach, just like Jeff Fisher's a 500 coach. When are you going to roll the dice and bring in somebody? Where's Gruden? Or let's hear a name. I don't even care. Give me something. Munchak, you look at him on the sidelines, he's got no fire. He doesn't get fired up. He challenges spots. And when there's just a mass of humanity, or you can't even see the ball he's throwing the challenge, I don't think he's won a challenge this year.
Welcome to Norv Turner land.
I
had Schottenheimer before then too, so on challenge flags I'll face you on futility.
Yeah, but he's gone now.
Oh, I know. And I've got Mike McCoy, who I really like, and I love the direction of this team, and I don't mind if they lose out, to be honest.
I'd even take Riverboat.
What Mike McCoy has done with junk in San Diego is tremendous. We are a 500 football team, or should be. Yeah, we're failing in the red zone, but the direction of the team and the feeling I have when I watch the team is a whole bunch different. Because it's not a disaster waiting to happen. It's just death by 1,000 cuts.
Well,
which I don't know what's wrong with me that I consider that an improvement.
Well, I just hope that they don't promote Greg Williams to head coach when they fire Munchak. Because he's done a great job with the defense, is vastly improved. Our pass rush has improved. Donald Brown gashed us a little bit, but I think that was more just from being tired in the third and fourth quarter because they couldn't run on us in the first half. All those yards Brown got were in the second half.
Well, and with Brown's performance, this Trent Richardson case has to end, like this experiment.
They can't. That's the problem. It's this Sean Green thing. Like, Sean Green's not a bad running back, but when you have Chris Johnson, you need a third round back. You don't need to pay a guy $4 million to back up Chris Johnson. He should be getting the ball 25 times. And you have this guy come in every 6th carry or 8th carry to spell him off for a play or two, not take whole series away. I don't get it. It's like, we better. It's like
what's Sean Green's longest run from scrimmage? 20?
Yeah, something like that.
I mean, this is like O.J. Anderson with the Giants in the late 80s, you know? He'll get you 3.5 most carries, but his long will be 12.
It boggles my mind that they're still protecting him and limiting his carries. Do you want to win games?
And once again, throw him the ball a little more.
I'm frustrated. The only time they throw it to him, and he might be leading the league in drops, but the only time they throw it to him is on the big fucking mad scramble when it's not even a design screen. He's just a safety valve, and they throw it to him, and he's going to get lit up anyway. So I don't know what to say. The silver lining is the Jets losing. Everybody lost that was in contention for that wild card spot.
Do you really want to be a wild card right now?
I don't care. Playoffs are anything can happen. I've seen dumber things happen in the playoffs these last few years if you get hot at the right time.
This
and
is true.
Tennessee has a pass rush and a defense that could work in cold weather.
Okay.
So, like, our defense is top 10, top 12. That's what you need going into the playoffs. If we get some consistency out of the offense and not have our defense on the field for quarters at a time, things would be different. You don't need to score on every drive, but if you can chew up 5 minutes going 30 yards, that's all you need sometimes. But when your defense is on the field for the whole third quarter, how do you expect them to have anything left in the tank for the fourth? That last drive, when Brown scored his second touchdown, basically put the game out of reach, make it 30-20. I don't put that on the defense. They were on the field the whole second half. So we need a little more consistency out of the offense, which is going to be fucking ridiculously hard with Fitzpatrick and this hurry up they're trying to run. They'll put up some good numbers statistically, but it's not going to win them games. And Marlon, I'm just fucking pie in the sky this shit about the wild card. We still have to go to Denver, and we have to go to Indy.
Well, your last two losses, it was a really viable concept until the last two games.
We're 8-8 at best, probably 7.
But I think we've probably talked about the turbines and the slant eyes enough here.
Yeah.
So we were mostly correct on 3 out of 4 picks. We got a push out of 1. The game that screwed us, betting-wise, was we bought hard into Cleveland, a flailing Cincinnati team, and honestly, you look at that score and you just think Cincy blasted them. I watched most of that game. It really wasn't that case. Special teams disasters. 2 blocked punts in a brief period where Cleveland led 13-0. And I worried about the field goals, touchdowns that should have been field goals. I worried about that. But you did not expect back-to-back blocked punts in this league. And I want to look at this now because San Diego had the worst special teams in history a few years back. I'm thinking Cleveland might be giving them a run for their money.
Well, that game pretty much kills our futures bet, our hedge.
Yeah, and now I'm worried about Pittsburgh creeping up on Cincy's ass.
No, Pittsburgh. What's Pittsburgh got? 4 wins?
Pittsburgh's 2 games back.
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think I start worrying about
it killed that futures bet both ways. You know, because Cincy will win 2 more games to fuck us there.
You mean Cleveland?
Cleveland will. And Cincy may or may not win that division.
Well, let's have a look and see what the odds are in Pittsburgh. That might be another hedge.
We're going to have to do some math before we lay that one, because right now we're just throwing bad money at a bad division for bad reasons.
Because it pays out, Cincy winning pays out 18. So if we hedge with Pittsburgh now, that's only 15.
Baltimore losing was about the only good thing that happened to us in that division. And that was a nightmare. Soldier Field is a terrible field to play on, by all accounts, to begin with. You bring in a tornado warning. And that was ridiculous.
I didn't see a snap of that game.
It was when the tornado rolled through the area, or the tornado warning, and they actually evacuated people to the concourse. And they said, oh, we have a plan to put them all in the museum across the way. And I just thought, 60,000 people evac, probably not going to go smoothly. But they came back, and no one could cut. No one. People were falling down and ripping up 2.5-foot lengths of turf. It's one of the worst fields, along with Pittsburgh and Washington, in the league. And this just speaks to the league doesn't give a fuck about player safety.
No.
Get a properly drained field, and don't let every team in the county, I'm speaking to you, Pittsburgh, play on it on the Saturday night. There are multi-million-dollar investments out there. Why on earth are they allowed to play on something that is actually a workplace hazard?
Well, that's been the bitch in Pittsburgh forever. But they use it it used to be to their advantage. Now they're more of a passing team than a running team as well.
Well, it always used to be to their advantage, right? Slow down the other team, make them fight in the mud. It's from Batman: The Dark Knight Returns, the comic by Frank Miller. He's younger, faster, but when we're in the mud, we're even. You know, I saw a Pittsburgh game where the punt buried nose first in the ground. And you're demanding that athletes who have a short career span and $1 million potential, well, just go out and run on that. You'll be fine. How could that possibly go wrong? Like, the league's notion of safety is such an absurd joke.
Okay, so Pittsburgh has 4 of their last 6 games are in division. And they've got Cincinnati again. In Pittsburgh. And $5 pays 65. But just I'm going to look up and see who...
you know what? Book it right now.
No, I'm going to look up and see Cincinnati's schedule. Pittsburgh has to go to Green Bay yet.
Covers it right now. With our hedges, if Cincy covers it right now, with our hedges, we lose $2. The only team that could fuck us is Baltimore. If Pittsburgh or Cleveland manages to chase down the Bengals...
Can San Diego beat Cincinnati?
No.
Then there's no use making that bet. Because here's the rest of their schedule. San Diego, home against Indy, at Pittsburgh, home against Minnesota, and home against Baltimore.
San Diego at home? Maybe.
Pittsburgh's three wins back. And I don't know how they make that up, looking at their schedule.
I thought it was 2 wins.
No, they're 3 back. Cincinnati's 4-7. Or Cincinnati's 7-4 going into their bye week. And Pittsburgh's 4-6. They're at Cleveland, at Baltimore, home against Miami, home against Cincy, at Green Bay, home against Cleveland. That Cleveland defense is for real.
It is. It wasn't the defense's fault for most of that game, though
we might have to look at that game tomorrow. We might even have to take Cleveland because they'll be underdogs at home. Would be my guess. And Pittsburgh hasn't been stellar on the road.
Okay.
They lost at Minnesota.
No, well, that was in London.
Oh, right. Okay, they lost at Oakland and New England. And Cincinnati. Their only win on the road was against the Jets.
On a minor point, like, I'm running out of stuff to say about last weekend's games. It was a surprise. Oh, actually, something we should bring up is our quote at the top of the podcast.
Oh, Andre Johnson.
Yeah. Couple of things about that game. You pull Case Keenum and you put back in Schaub?
There's no way you can bring him. He's done. They had to go to a silent snap count because of the boos.
What the hell was that decision? Was that Kubiak not wanting any traction for Phillips?
No, Kubiak's done too. He's done. Stroke, no stroke. He was getting canned anyway. He was getting canned a couple of years ago, and then they made the playoffs the last 2 years. He's done.
But that's got to be one of the most bizarre things, because Case Keenum was and the explanation, he didn't know the full pass blocking package.
Well, how'd he do it against Indy?
Well, by running around and being an athlete. That was the most bizarre decision I've ever seen. You're down marginally, you've scored 17 points, and you'll pull the guy who led you to a victory, or almost. You put in the most hated guy in Texas, who then, I believe, managed to get 6 points on the board under his stellar leadership. And then Andre Johnson goes all Randy Moss. And that's what I want to talk about. Andre Johnson has earned the fact that he's not getting ripped like Randy Moss.
Yeah, but how?
By performing constantly.
Yeah, did he not hold out?
No, he didn't.
He did so. He had a contract and fucking held out. After his uncle signed that shitty deal, he held out. They ripped it up and redid another one.
Really?
Fuck that. Yes, fuck him. Fuck him. He got in the fucking thrown out for punching fucking Cortland Finnegan when they played Tennessee a couple of years back.
Yeah, that was a good fight.
No, but why does he get a pass?
Well, that's a good point. And I'm just saying, if anyone, Des Bryant, pretty much anyone, Des Bryant leaps to mind because no matter what Des Bryant does, he gets fucked over for it. And I think he's a bit of a wild card, but
he's not. He's Michael Irvin 2.0 in Dallas. Irvin was the same way. Him and Aikman be yelling at each other at Emmitt Smith. I don't have a problem with that shit. But I never saw Michael Irvin walk off the field.
No, and walking off the field, and it was 8 seconds left in the Minnesota game that Randy Moss was absolutely destroyed for. This was a minute left. Yeah, they're in victory formation, kneeling down, but trust me as a Chargers fan, sometimes that can go wrong too, because I've seen Phillip Rivers fumble a fucking ball to lose a game in KC.
Yep.
Yeah, he should be absolutely being pilloried around the league.
No, nobody will say a thing. He's built up enough goodwill in the media for some reason. If it was Kenny Britt in Tennessee, they'd have ripped him a new asshole this morning. I don't get it. What's he done? Like, I know he's a good receiver, but Larry Fitzgerald hasn't exactly been playing on Super Bowl contenders the last 5 years. Has he done anything this stupid?
No.
There's only been a handful, and they've all been ripped. So what's the underlying factor that he's not getting ripped?
He's a good citizen.
Ah, fuck that.
Fair enough.
And then in the clip you played, are you happy here? Do you want to be here? Well, I'm under contract.
That was my
off.
favorite part.
Fuck off. You can't be a clown. You can't pretend to be one way and then be the clown after.
I don't think he was clowning.
He's not clowning, but he sounds like a clown saying that. If you're going to act like an asshole on the field, then back it up when you get off. Don't cop out and go, I'm under contract. Have some balls. If you're going to have the balls to walk off the fucking field, say you want out. Don't go cry to your agent that you want out. Fucking say it, but they won't. Then put your tail between your legs and sit on the bench with the rest of your fucking teammates and walk off the field. Don't walk off with a minute left. I don't get it. To me, you lose as a team and you win as a team. And when you're singling yourself out like that, you should get ripped. Moss, with 8 seconds left,
was destroyed.
Yeah.
That game was much more done than this game was.
Yeah, it
with
wasn't like a
58
4-point
seconds.
game.
And I'm not advising the Shiano crash the victory formation thing, but trust me, I am well aware that a quarterback can fumble a snap and change certain victory into defeat.
Yeah, what if they needed to run a couple of plays and he's down the tunnel?
Yeah, he should be held to the same standard of everybody else.
Well, if I was Houston, I'd suspend him. Like your season.
That would make it too obvious that they're trying to throw the season now. They're trying to pull an Indy.
No, they're not.
I think they are. The introduction of Schwab into that.
Yeah, but there's like five quarterbacks going to go in the first round. You don't need to pick number. There's not one that they're going, oh, he's going to be the guy.
But really, honestly, explain the Schwab introduction. It wasn't like Keenan hadn't done anything. They had 17 points in the game. If he'd been sacked 5 times and they had 12 net yards, fine. What the hell was that?
I don't know what they do now. Well, the coaches are gone. They might keep Phillips around. He's a great D coordinator. Defense, I don't know how Oakland put up 28 points.
And Houston, by the way, do not promote this man to head coach.
No, they won't. They won't. They may even get rid of him.
I'd take him again in the second. Everyone talks about the other Pagano like he had cancer and recovered from it too. San Diego's defense is atrocious.
Well, Black Monday in the NFL is going to be really black this year.
Over/under on coaches fired.
6.
Okay, that's exactly the number I had, so we can't even make a bet. But
well, look, Munchak.
Munchak's got to go.
Munchak, Kubiak in the south. The guy in Jacksonville's safe. Indy's safe.
The guy in the Jacksonville, he's kind of the wild card because
no, he's not getting fired.
Mr. Khan there, the owner, has 3 head coaches in 3 years running the team.
Yeah, he's not. No, they're not going to.
Insane.
Then you got Philbin in Miami, Mike Smith potentially in Atlanta, Shiano in Tampa, Harbaugh is safe in Baltimore, Tomlin in Pittsburgh. They're safe in Cleveland, safe in Cincy. Belichick's safe. Bills guys, Marone's safe. Saints, Panthers, they're all good.
Well, we can't make a bet. We're both around 6. But I checked the game tape. We actually bet on the Raiders spread. I called it 6.5. I bought you a drink, so you owe me 2 drinks there, brother.
What?
Yeah. Check the game tape. We actually bet on the Raiders spread.
And I said between 1 and 3.
And I said 6.5, and it was 6.5.
For Houston. Yeah, I'll get you someday.
Yeah. Next time we go out and bet the ponies. But yeah, check the game tape. All right, we're flailing around here tonight.
No, but now, okay, we still got to do our top 5 now.
Oh, indeed.
So...
Oh, indeed. I got to prepare for this in the future.
Okay, number 1, Denver Broncos. Number 2, Carolina Panthers. Jesus, now I'm starting to struggle. I don't even think I can put the Colts in the top 5 anymore.
No, I agree with that.
Okay, okay. I'm going to rephrase that. I'm going to put Seattle at 2, Carolina at 3, New Orleans at 4, because they beat San Francisco. And I'm going to put San Francisco at 5. Who in the AFC would you put ahead of those guys? I'm still putting San Francisco in the top 5 because they lost to 2 of the other teams in my top 5 by the combined 4 points in the last 2 weeks.
I don't disagree. They're not making my top 5 though, but I don't argue strongly. Number 1, yeah, I gotta go back to the Broncos. They showed me enough by playing a very restrained, game-tailored style against KC. I think KC had some opportunities to maybe take that game to them that they missed. Still got to say they're the best team in football right now.
And Denver's O-line held up against the pass rush from Kansas
Well, that's
State.
because they were getting the ball out of there in 1.5 seconds. They tailored the game plan. That's what I mean. It wasn't like they tried to exert their will. It's like, in this case, we're facing a massive line. Let's just run the ball most of the first half, and we will back off those fuckers. You know, really good game plan, well coached by Del Rio, of all people. Good looking team. 2 is very close between Seattle and Carolina. I agree with you. I'm still going to go Carolina because they went on the road. They did what they had to do. They came home. They did what they had to do. And the team has more potential, I think, than they've shown yet. I don't think they're playing as well as they might. Number 4. I'm going to throw a wild card in here and say New England.
Well, they are one of 4 teams in the AFC over 500, so... And if anybody wants to bitch about me having 4 NFC teams in the top 5, that's one of the reasons. There's 4 teams with winning records in the AFC.
Yeah, I just think that they went to a very hard place against a very good team that matched up with them well. And they're going to argue and curse about that flag for 2 years, but New England showed you can actually score against Carolina. Yeah, it was only 20, but they're still good. They're finding ways. I mean, the secondary's starting to fall apart, but I still think that they are a dangerous wild card in there.
Well, this is a good week to find out. They play Denver at home, so we'll know more next Sunday night.
I can't get in. My number 5 slot is really weak here. I'm still gonna go with Andy.
Not the Saints or the Niners?
Oh, the Saints. I forgot I missed the Saints. Absolutely the Saints.
And the only reason I put Seattle ahead of Carolina was because they beat Carolina.
No, and you're right, and thanks for preventing me from really fucking up that 5 spot.
All right, there you have it. We'll wrap it up there with our top 5. If anybody has any opinions on those picks, go to our Facebook page, facebook.com/offensivelines, or you can send us an email, offensivelines@shaw.ca. You can check out the podcast on iTunes or Stitcher for your Android device, or you can listen to it on our website, offensivelines.ca. And follow us on Twitter, @offensivelines. You'll see any updates to our blog posts or when the new podcasts are available. And keep a lookout for The World According to Marlon. His columns go up periodically. To be polite.
It was 1,000 words, dude.
Well, I didn't know how else to say. It wasn't a dig. But just check out
It was
Marlon's
a dig.
columns go up. No, it wasn't. Your columns go up once a week. And check them out. They're really well written. And I've enjoyed reading every one you put up so far. I'm Boyd.
I'm Marlon. Go tight turbans. Go slant eyes.
Generous fucking gambler.